आई एक्चुअली हियर दिस अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स कि मैम मैं सुबह से रात तक पढ़ रहा हूँ पर मुझे एक तो ये लग नहीं रहा है कि मैंने पढ़ाई करी और दूसरा मुझे अगले दिन भी कुछ भी याद नहीं रहता.
Exactly. Because focus is compromised. Your mind is not a machine. It is an organ. Can it work without taking break?
आई एम श्योर अगर कोई अडल्ट ये पॉडकास्ट सुन रहा है उनके दिमाग में पहली चीज ये आती है, हम लोगों की भाषा में बोलते हैं आज के जमाने के चोचले हैं.
Our mind, our physical body is programmed for survival. We are not made to study for 9 to 5. We are not meant to study for an exam which could be there after 5 years. ये हमेशा हमारे लिए टास्क ही होने वाला है. If you are training for a marathon, there'll come a stage. You know you have to run that extra mile. नहीं हो पा रहा. Mental fatigue, burnout is that you want to do something but you are unable to do it. There is no motivation. There's no motivation to go out. There's no motivation to enjoy. There's no motivation to go to work.
We are over pressuring ourselves, over expectations जो हमने अपने आप से रखे हुए हैं.
There is a demand from society, from your own self, from your own people, but you are not able to function. You are not able to do it. Then you start questioning yourself कि am I not enough?
I want to understand the mindset. लोग क्या सोचेंगे वाला. जो पेपर दे रहा है उसको डर पेपर का दिया, उसको डर इस बात का कि बाई चांस मैं फेल हो गया तो सोसाइटी वाले क्या सोचेंगे.
See, stress or anxiety, as we understand, it happens when we are stuck in future or in past. So if I have to escape from anxiety, I'll have to start engaging in present. Basically, it's doing nothing. When you're doing nothing, how to do that? You have to give it rest. You have to give it opportunity to restore.
मान लीजिए काम बहुत ज्यादा है.
जिंदगी से ज़्यादा तो नहीं काम ज़रूरी हो सकता है ना.
हाय गाइस, वेलकम टू वकालत एंड दिस इज योर होस्ट मुस्कान. आज हम लोग एक बहुत सिंपल पर इम्पोर्टेंट मुद्दे पे बात कर रहे हैं एंड दैट इज बर्नआउट. हमारा काम करने का मन है पर हमसे काम नहीं हो रहा है. हमारा पढ़ने का मन है पर हमसे पढ़ाई नहीं हो रही है. ऐसे लोगों को सोसाइटी की नज़र में आलसी या कामचोर कहलाया जाता है. बट इस कॉन्वर्जेशन को सुनने के बाद यू विल रियलाइज दैट दिस प्रॉब्लम इज रियल. अगर आप इस लूप में अटके हुए हो कि आप काम करना चाहते हो पर आपसे काम नहीं हो रहा है, दैट इज द स्टेज ऑफ बर्नआउट. एंड अगर आपको हेल्प चाहिए बट यू कैन नॉट अफोर्ड वन, डॉक्टर पंकज इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू आउट. टुडे वी हैव समबडी वेरी स्पेशल फॉर यू. ही इज एन एक्सपर्ट विद एंजाइटी प्रॉब्लम, डिप्रेशन प्रॉब्लम एंड या स्पेसिफिकली बात करने वाले हैं बर्नआउट के बारे में और बर्नआउट और लेजीनेस के डिफरेंस के बारे में. एक डिफरेंस है ये कहने में कि मुझसे काम नहीं हो रहा है टू मेरा काम करने का मन नहीं है. एंड हाउ डू यू कोप अप विद दिस. क्या रीजंस हैं जिसकी वजह से ये मेंटल स्टेट होता है एंड वी आर नॉट एबल टू एड्रेस इट. क्या रीजंस है कि हम इन सिचुएशंस में लैंड अप करते हैं. क्या रीजंस है कि हम इस प्रॉब्लम को नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं. एंड बाय द एंड ऑफ द कॉन्वर्जेशन यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि आप इंडिविजुअली बिना किसी थेरेपिस्ट के हेल्प से कैसे इस चीज से कोप अप कर सकते हो विद वेरी स्मॉल सिंपल रेमेडीज. आई होप यू एंजॉय दिस कॉन्वर्जेशन. हेलो सर, वेलकम टू वकालत. टुडेज एपिसोड आई थिंक विल बी द मोस्ट व्यूड एपिसोड बिकॉज आज ना हम लोग भारत के एक ऐसे मुद्दे पे बात कर रहे हैं विच इज़ मेंटल हेल्थ. और समवेयर कि मैंने आपसे ही सीखा है कि मेंटल हेल्थ पे आप कोई एक एस्पेक्ट नहीं जिस पे अपन डिस्कशन कर सकते हैं. तो आई बिलीव आज का डिस्कशन का मुद्दा इज बर्नआउट. And this is something which everybody wants to understand and they want to know how to deal with it. But mental health पे जब बात आती है या जब आप उसको क्योर करने की बात करते हो, not everybody can afford the therapy. So we want कोई भी इंसान जो आज ये एपिसोड देख रहा है, ये एपिसोड एक जरिया है उसकी मदद करने का कि सी दिस इज़ द प्रॉब्लम, हेल्प हिम अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि ये प्रॉब्लम है, दिस इज़ द सॉल्यूशन. और अभी आपको थेरेपी की ज़रूरत नहीं है. अगर आप ये एपिसोड भी सुन लो तो काफ़ी हद तक you'll have a fair idea about that. Right. So that's the purpose of the conversation and we believe by the end of the conversation people are going to learn a lot from you.
Thank you.
So thank you once again for being here.
So thanks a lot for having me here, and this is indeed a very important topic that you have taken up. Generally when we talk about mental health, we only know about depression, stress, schizophrenia, which are very chronic, you can say a very serious hardcore problems. But there is a need to talk about more subtle issues such as mental fatigue, burnout, even procrastination, laziness. What is it? How is it different from simple procrastination and stress for that matter? So yes, it's very important. And see, mental fatigue generally was a term we would listen from a professionals, but lately even youngsters, teenagers, college goers, right, they are also coming and saying ki, we feel so fatigued, we are not able to focus, we are not able to concentrate in our studies and all that. So it's the prevalence and the incident of this problem is increasing, and it's going to only increase in the coming times. So what is mental fatigue? Before we get into the absolute mental fatigue problem as such, let us understand or have an analogy about physical fatigue. So just imagine, if you are training for a marathon, okay, and you're running, you're physically exerting yourself, there'll come a stage where your body will not want to function any further. ठीक है, जिसको हम लोग टायर्डनेस कहते हैं, जिसको हम लोग थक जाना कहते हैं, राइट? एंड एट दैट पॉइंट इट विल simply give up, or it will enter into a stage of fatigue. That's what we call it as a physical fatigue. Same thing you apply to a mind. So it's like running a marathon on your mind. Okay. So mental fatigue happens whenever you are subjected to any chronic, any sustained, prolonged cognitive demands. Now what are cognitive demands? Cognitive demands are nothing but tasks. It could be something like studying, working, or general activities like using internet or using media or scrolling on phone. So whenever there is any chronic such activity without any period of relaxation or without any opportunity for that mind to heal itself, to recover or to restore, it enters into a mental fatigue state. That is what we call it as a mental fatigue.
Mental tiredness.
Yes, exactly. So it's a state where your mind is overburdened by, feel very overloaded. You just feel very overburdened by tasks. Even your ability to regulate your emotion is affected, right? So these are all functions of mind. So when mind gets tired, you're not able to deploy those functions. You're not able to focus. You're not able to concentrate. You're not able to make correct decisions. You appear very erratic, very emotional, right? So that is mental fatigue. Now, if that continues, it would further enter into a very chronic state of burnout, Okay. So as long as a mental fatigue, periodic rest can help you. Okay. But the moment it becomes a burnout or even further, it could risk you for serious conditions like depression, right? So it's an important thing, or it's an important issue to address, especially in the today's world, where everybody wants to outperform, everybody wants to be successful, so-called successful, everybody wants to achieve more, right? There is pressure from the society, there is pressure from the parents, there is pressure from your own self. Surprisingly, you have a lot of unrealistic, unreasonable expectations, from your own self. It's a finite resource. Okay. ऐसा नहीं ना, it's an unlimited, like you can work like a robot without resting for 24 hours, for the 7 days and all that. So it's very important to address this, and if we are able to take care of it, take care of our mind, we could actually improve our efficiency and productivity.
So to start with, I believe बहुत से लोगों को पता ही नहीं है कि what is burnout, and I am sure अगर कोई adult ये पॉडकास्ट सुन रहा है, कॉन्वर्सेशन सुन रहा है, बाय एडल्ट आई मीन समबडी हु इज 28, 30 प्लस, उनके दिमाग में पहली चीज़ ये आती है कि बर्नआउट इज समथिंग जो आज के ज़माने के लफड़े हैं, या वो हम लोगों की भाषा में बोलते हैं आज के ज़माने के चोचले हैं. सो फर्स्ट टू बिगिन विद, हेल्प देम अंडरस्टैंड कि किस चीज़ को बर्नआउट कहते हैं. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय बर्नआउट?
सी, बर्नआउट इज, जस्ट इमेजिन, इफ योर माइंड इज नॉट गिवन द रेस्ट, ठीक है, उसको रेस्ट ही नहीं मिल रही, वो सोच नहीं पा रहा, वो फंक्शन नहीं कर पा रहा, कॉन्सेंट्रेट नहीं कर पा रहा, डे टू डे एक्टिविटीज़ जैसे कुछ भी है, मतलब पढ़ाई करना या ऑफिस जाना, ठीक है, और सिंपल डिसीजंस आर appearing to be a huge task. There's no motivation to go out, there's no motivation to enjoy, there's no motivation to go to work, there's no motivation for any pleasurable activity, right? You're not able to focus, you just feel like doing nothing basically. नहीं जाना, काम पे ही नहीं जाना, ठीक है. And trivial issues are triggering your mood. छोटी सी अगर बात हो गई है, anything, even a small argument between with your partner could trigger a very अनप्रेडिक्टेबल इमोशनल रिस्पॉन्स. उस पर गुस्सा हो गए, मतलब उस पर इरिटेट हो गए, right? We don't know why we are acting like this. So that is burnout, right? Your mind has basically, shut off. Whereas you want to do it. You realize that you should be going to your office, you should be going to your work because that has been your passion. You feel like, wanting to spend time with your kids, wanting to spend time with your partner, or, probably go for a movie, right? But नहीं इच्छा ही नहीं है, मूड ही नहीं है, there is no motivation only.
हो ही नहीं पा रहा.
Exactly. So that is a state of burnout.
Okay.
Right? And then secondarily, see, you get to see a lot of क्या कहते हैं, remarks from your family also, from your friends also, कि यार इतनी बार बोला लेकिन तुम नहीं आते, मतलब ठीक है हम लोग मिल रहे हैं लेकिन आजकल तुम हमें बहुत अवॉइड करते हो, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. और we are very sensitized by society also. ठीक है, there is a demand, there is a pressure, ठीक है, pressure of performing, right? Pressure of achieving, pressure of doing more, right? You see on social media कि आपके friends घूम के आए, मतलब they have gone out for a movie and all that. So you also start comparing your life with them. So there is a demand, right? From society, from your own self, from your own people, but you are not able to function, you are not able to do it. And so this has a very negative effect on your own self-esteem, on your own psyche. Then you start questioning yourself, ki, am I not enough? Okay. That's the path to a serious conditions like depression or anxiety problems and so on. Okay. So that is how it feels in a day-to-day activities, right? So there is an immense guilt about it. Okay. Right? So there is also, at times people label it as a laziness, but laziness is a very different thing. We'll talk about it. Yes. But as far as your question goes, ki how to identify that you are burned out, is by this. When you are wanting to do these things, but you don't feel like doing these things, you are not able to do those things. Okay. Or even if you put yourself in those situations, वो नहीं हो पा रहा आपसे. आप किसी सोशल सिचुएशन में गए लेकिन वहाँ पे आपका मूड ही नहीं है. You feel like going home early. Right, you are not able to qualitatively contribute in that activity. As a student, आप पढ़ना चाह रहे हो. Exactly. Focus नहीं हो पा रहा या output ही नहीं हो पा रहा. You feel like you have studied for 2 hours, but आपने वो retain ही नहीं किया because focus is compromised.
I actually hear this a lot of times कि मैम मैं सुबह से रात तक पढ़ रहा हूँ. Yes. मैं 16 घंटे पढ़ रहा हूँ. Right. पर मुझे एक तो ये लग नहीं रहा है कि मैंने पढ़ाई करी और दूसरा मुझे अगले दिन भी कुछ भी याद नहीं रहता. Exactly. और at some point of time एक उनको aversion आ जाता है कि अब किताबें नहीं ही उठानी है. Right. So that to summarize we can say is the stage of burnout.
Yes. That is burnout, and it happens before there is a mental fatigue. So which goes unaddressed. It continues like that, for days, for weeks, for months probably, which reaches a stage of a burnout. So at that point, you need probably a prolonged break or some intervention or some tools through which you can relax yourself. You can balance out that, work life probably. So, that is what it looks like in day-to-day practice.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the next segment. जब मुझसे आके कोई कहता है, my team is also working, they're very hard working, and बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि दे से कि मैम आज मेरा मन नहीं है काम करने का, तो आज मुझसे काम हो नहीं रहा है. अब आई अंडरस्टैंड कि दोनों सिचुएशंस अलग हैं, पर अब आई एम वेरी मच इनटू द जोन ऑफ वर्किंग, कि नहीं इनिशिएटिव उठाना है, बहुत काम करना है. तो अगर मुझसे भी पर्सनली कोई बंदा आके कहता है कि मैम मुझसे काम हो नहीं रहा, तो मुझे आज काम करने का मन नहीं है, दोनों ही केसेस में माय आंसर वुड बी वेरी क्लियर, अबे आलस मत कर, इज्जत से काम कर ले, अबे अपने को काम करना है. राइट. सो अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट किसी भी इंसान के सामने अगर आप ये मुद्दा रखोगे कि मुझसे काम नहीं हो रहा या मेरा काम करने का मन नहीं है, द आंसर इज लेजीनेस. राइट. बट काम नहीं हो रहा और काम करने का मन नहीं है में देयर इज अ डिफरेंस. सो हेल्प मी अंडरस्टैंड, ब्रेक दिस डाउन कि लेजीनेस मतलब आलस और बर्नआउट में डिफरेंस क्या है, बिकॉज देयर इज अ वेरी थिन लाइन ऑफ डिफरेंस बिटवीन बोथ ऑफ देम. सो इन दोनों में डिफरेंस क्या है?
यस. व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट मेंटल फटीग या बर्नआउट, इट्स अ स्टेट. ये एक माइंड की कंडीशन है. इट्स अ स्टेट वेयर योर माइंड इज अनेबल टू फंक्शन. राइट. यू वांट टू डू समथिंग बट यू आर अनेबल टू डू इट. ठीक है, आपको करना तो बहुत कुछ है लेकिन आप कर नहीं पा रहे हो. राइट. आपको पता है कि ये सब मुझे करना है, मुझे बाहर जाना है, मुझे दोस्तों के साथ मिलना है, लेकिन नहीं, वो इच्छा नहीं हो पा रही. लेजीनेस इज सिंपली यू डोंट फील दैट एज इम्पॉर्टेंट. राइट. जैसे मुझे इतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं लग रहा कि मैंने आज काम को जाना चाहिए. दैट इज बीइंग लेजी. आई डोंट फील इम्पॉर्टेंट टू मीट माई फ्रेंड. I don't feel important to study. I don't feel important. So there is no guilt associated when it comes to laziness. Laziness में ऐसा कोई conflict नहीं होता, ऐसा guilt नहीं होता.
बस आलस है.
आलस है, मुझे ज़रूरी नहीं लगता, right? Whereas when it is burnout, you are guilty. ठीक है, you are in a conflict with your own self. Like you know that you have to do this, you have to study, you try also, but you are not able to. जैसे similarly, if you have to take an analogy of a physical fatigue, you know you have to run that extra mile. नहीं हो पा रहा. You're trying, but your muscles are not थक गए मतलब, right? You want to go to gym, like it happens, you know, we all must have gone to gym at some point, right? एक कुछ repetitions के बाद नहीं काम करता मतलब, right? Even 1 या 2 किलो भी आप उठा नहीं सकते. So that is fatigue. So similarly, in mental fatigue, you have that realization, you have that insight कि you have to do that task, but you are simply not able to do it. Or even if you do it, there is no output, there is no efficiency, right? Even decision making. जैसे what should I be doing? Suppose, you know, if I have to wear a certain shirt, color of a shirt, yeah, what, outfit. Simple decision as that, we are not able to make any decision or come to any conclusion there, right? That is burnout. That is a symptom of burnout or a mental fatigue. Whereas laziness is simply, I don't feel important enough. There is no desire. There is no intrinsic motivation ही नहीं है. I hope you're getting, if I'm not making it very complicated.
Just help me understand this better. एक student के perspective से we can do this. Create a hypothetical situation for me to understand कि मैम जब बच्चा ये कर रहा है, so it's laziness, और जब बच्चा ये कर रहा है, it's burnout. I am a professor myself. I deal with around 2000 students एक दिन में. मेरे लिए बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है समझना कि ये इसका आलस है या बेचारा सही में थक गया है. बिकॉज इफ इट्स अ बर्नआउट आई रियली वांट टू हेल्प देम आउट. पर इफ इट इज लेजीनेस तो मैं झापड़ मार के उसको बोलूंगी कि काम कर. तो help me create a hypothetical situation to understand this difference.
Right. See, firstly, differentiating is actually very difficult. And if you see pure laziness, true laziness is very rare. इतना कॉमन नहीं है मतलब, you know, very rarely people don't find study not important, right? So how, like, अगर if a kid is lazy, right, उसको नहीं लगेगा कि पढ़ाई करना इतना important है उस वक्त, या उसे नहीं लगेगा कि he or she has to clear his exams, right? They'll not find it important.
Okay.
So you're getting my point. And because of that, they may not study. Or they may choose something else which they like probably playing a video game, or for that matter, or playing, watching a movie, reels online. So they are choosing not to study. It's a choice. It's a choice, right?
Okay.
Why they are choosing that? Because they don't find that activity an important activity.
I'm sorry, I'll interrupt you here. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल बच्चे का अटेम्प्ट दिसंबर में है, अभी मान लीजिए अगस्त है, तो उसको दिख रहा है कि अगस्त है, सितंबर है, अक्टूबर है, नवंबर है और दिसंबर एंड में मेरा पेपर है. सो ही चूजेस कि यार मैं सितंबर से पढ़ना शुरू करूंगा या मैं अक्टूबर से पढ़ना शुरू करूंगा. दिस इज लेजीनेस, इफ आई एम अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस करेक्ट.
उसे समझ रहा है. हाउ कैन यू से दैट? So you'll have to say that if you're not assuming things, right? Because when you say that exam is in December, what does it mean to that child? ठीक है, उसके लिए दिसंबर ऐसा लग सकता है बहुत टाइम है यार, 3 महीने मतलब, ठीक है. फॉर अस इट विल बी नहीं, दिसंबर है, 3 ही महीने हैं मतलब, यू नो हाउ यू आर परसीविंग इट, यू आर सीइंग इट फ्रॉम योर लेंस, यू आर, ठीक है. सो यू आर अज्यूमिंग दैट व्हाट हाउ यू आर सीइंग इट, इवन द चाइल्ड इज सीइंग इट सिमिलरली, व्हिच मे नॉट बी द केस. उसे ऐसा लगता है कि कोई नहीं यार, 15 दिन में भी मैं पढ़ाई कर सकता हूँ मतलब, सो व्हाट, सो व्हाई डू आई नीड टू सिट डाउन नाउ, राइट? So this is if that child is thinking like this, which could be, okay from his or her perspective. But क्या है ना कि they simply don't find it so important.
अभी से पढ़ना ही.
Right. So that could be laziness. ठीक है. There could be another child who could be कि नहीं यार, 3 महीने ही है मतलब, let me start studying now. For them, that meaning of that exam would be different, right? Probably he or she could be having a little ambition of something. I have to, pass this exam, I have to clear because my, I have to be first in my class or whatever, right? So it means differently to different individual, even to us, right? If someone is not finding a particular task important enough, it could come across as a laziness.
Okay.
राइट.
सो जैसे कि आपने बोला, किसी को लगेगा कि मैं 3 महीने बाद शुरू करूंगा, मेरे लिए उतना टाइम पीरियड सही है.
Right.
किसी को लगेगा कि मैं 3 महीने पहले से शुरू कर देता हूँ. अब जो 3 महीने पहले से शुरू कर रहा है, अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल यूपीएससी आप देख लीजिए, यूपीएससी तो बच्चा 2-2 साल पहले शुरू कर देता है.
Right.
अब क्लैट की तैयारी देख लीजिए, आप एंट्रेंस की तैयारी देख लीजिए. 3 महीने पहले से जो बच्चा शुरू कर रहा है, अब वो 16-16 घंटे पढ़ रहा है पहले दिन से, क्योंकि उसको लग रहा है कि अगेन द माइंडसेट, मेरे लिए 3 महीना सफिशिएंट नहीं है. तो वो जो 16-16 घंटे पढ़ रहा है 3 महीने कंटिन्यूसली, कैन दिस स्टेट लीड टू बर्नआउट?
It could, see, so burnout कब होगा? If your mind is not getting opportunity to relax. Right? अगर आपकी sleep compromised है, ठीक है, या आप किसी recreational activities में नहीं indulge हो रहे हो, right? And you are excessively indulging in any task without giving it break, without, primarily these are the, you can say, indicators. आपकी अगर नींद 8 से 9 घंटे से कम है, कोई बीच में ब्रेक्स नहीं है, कोई रिक्रिएशनल एक्टिविटीज़ नहीं है, देयर इज़ अ हाई रिस्क दैट यू विल एंड अप इनटू अ बर्नआउट. आप कुछ भी करो, इट नीड नॉट बी स्टडीज, इट कुड बी समथिंग दैट यू एंजॉय, राइट, समथिंग दैट यू लाइक. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू आर पैशनेट अबाउट योर वर्क, बट इफ यू आर नॉट रेस्टिंग इनफ, और इफ यू आर नॉट गिविंग योर माइंड दैट नीडेड ब्रेक, it could end up into a mental fatigue and a burnout. And that at some point, the same passionate work starts to seem very boring. Right? तो हम क्या कहते हैं कि यार इसमें मज़ा चला गया, मतलब, right? But it has to do with your routine.
But I think this has a lot to do with one thing more. Social media पे ना आजकल एक ऐसे we see a lot of interview of the founders. And बहुत से इंटरव्यू में फाउंडर्स ने ऐसे बोला, यार I have not taken a single leave in last 3 years, and that is how you build a company. Now let's say I want to build a company. मेरे सामने एग्जाम्पल क्लियर है कि 3 साल तक एक भी छुट्टी नहीं लेनी है. That is how you create an empire.
Right.
So this continuous state is going to lead to burnout. But then अगर हम ये हासिल नहीं करेंगे तो we are not going to be successful enough.
See, that is their opinion, ना? ये उनका एक opinion है. Everybody has an opinion, right? I can say something about what Modi should be doing in America, right? For example. So it's up to people to, decide how much to value that or not. And what is good for them, what is healthy for them, right? I'm not contradicting anybody's, that might have been his personal view or an opinion.
But what is personally your opinion and idea, since you are an expert in this field, कि this ideology works? और as you already said कि बहुत ज़रूरी है काम करते दौरान ब्रेक लेना, और रेगुलर बेसिस पे ब्रेक लेना.
Right.
तो what ideology works according to you?
So your mind is not a machine, right? It is an organ. ठीक है, it's a simple thing. It's a simple thing, right? So can it work without taking break?
Definitely not.
Can it excessively work without resting? No, right? So the question is how much of rest? How much of breaks that we need? We need break, that is for sure. Like, I think that's not a question anymore. But अभी सवाल है कि कितना break लेना है, कितना rest करना है, how much sleep is important, right? And what are the indicators which you need to be attentive? At that point, you need to, even consult an expert for that matter, or start talking to, your family members or support givers. That, I think, is an important discussion that we should be having, right? Because just to have a perspective, think about physical body, right? At times क्या है ना कि mind को हम लोग देख नहीं सकते, इसलिए understanding or visualizing these concepts becomes a little difficult. True. Right? But if I have to think about my heart cannot beat at a 500 beats per minute, can it? It is a limited resource, it cannot function beyond a certain point continuously, so it has a restriction, na? So we have to respect that. We have to, be thoughtful about it. Same thing applies to your brain. It has resources. There are, like, the muscles would have muscle fibers. Brain में there are neurons. Those neurons are fueled with neurotransmitters. Serotonin, जो हमने सुना होगा, dopamine, we know, norepinephrine. These are all neurotransmitters in the brain, which are finite resource. You can actually quantify them. राइट, क्वान्टिफाई मतलब उसको मेजर कर सकते हैं. हम लोग मेजर कर सकते हैं कि कितने न्यूरॉन्स होंगे अपने ब्रेन में, राइट, कितनी डेंसिटी है ब्रेन की, कितने वो केमिकल्स हैं, राइट. इट इज़ अ फाइनाइट रिसोर्स. ऐसा तो नहीं ना कि पेट्रोल खत्म हो गया उसके बाद भी आप गाड़ी चला ही रहे हो, मतलब, राइट. सो द सेम थिंग अप्लाइज टू योर माइंड. यू हैव टू गिव इट रेस्ट, यू हैव टू गिव इट अपॉर्चुनिटी टू रिस्टोर, राइट, एंड इट हील्स इन इट सेल्फ. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं कि हमें बहुत कुछ करना है, बट बेसिक थिंग लाइक स्लीप इज़ वेरी एसेंशियल. स्लीप एंड सम रिक्रिएटिव स्टफ,
जैसे
जहाँ पे या दैट्स अ गुड पॉइंट. सो actually there's so much to talk. I don't know how much time we have, but what qualifies for a recreative activity, right? So recreative activity is something that detaches yourself from your normal day-to-day responsibilities. Okay, right?
If we can take an example.
Yes. So suppose I'm a doctor, for example. Maybe cooking could be a recreational activity for me, something that yes, I purely enjoy, right? जिसमें कोई कंडीशन नहीं कि I have to cook good or I have to cook for, अगर मैंने खराब भी ये किया है or anything, even if I'm singing, right? अगर मैं बुरा भी sing किया, there is nothing like बुरा और अच्छा, but then it's not going to, I don't have to be cautious about some output or doing it in a particular way, but it is taking me off that burden, right? If you say that we are always in a role, at home I could be a father, I could be a husband, in office I could be a doctor, I'm a doctor, and then if I go to my parents' home, I'm a son, right? In between friends, I'm their friend. We are carrying a burden of these roles, responsibilities, and it will come with its own judgment. I can't be expecting कि मैं अगर घर पे गया तो don't judge me as a son, don't judge me as a father, don't judge me as a doctor, right? So I have to abide to that responsibility, which is very taxing at the end of the day, right? So we need a space where I don't want to be judged as a professional or as a as a husband, as a father, as a son, or as a friend. So we have to have that space.
इंसान जैसे
हाँ, कैसा भी मतलब. So let me go to some space where people are not judging me. Nobody is going to judge me, right? To give you an example, suppose, or rather this is a real example that happened. One day I went to a trek, ठीक है, and I was little late. तो वहाँ पे उस वक्त सबका इंट्रोडक्शन हो चुका था. So because I was late, I didn't have to introduce myself. So nobody knew me or what I do, for living, or what was my profession, right? And so in that trek, everyone was so open, so non-judgmental, so friendly, right? Because they didn't knew my name. अगर मैंने उस वक्त कुछ और नाम बोला होता तो they would have believed it, right? And they didn't knew what I do, from where I came, and what was my where do I live and everything. And that felt so liberating, that felt so easy, right? And there people could actually you could connect for who you are, right? Not because what you're doing, not because from where you come or what, right? And so it felt so refreshing, it felt so nice. And later on, when it happened that again at the end you have to again reintroduce yourself, right? And then when I told that, okay, I'm a doctor and all that, so suddenly the perception changed. They started to treat me with a lot of respect, ki nahi sir, ye and all that. So which I found little, how it, right? So these could be a recreational activities or anything, such recreational activities where you feel very easy on yourself, where you not only just discover yourself, which is a very liberation in its own way, but you are actually relieved. You feel very relieved. You feel very stress-free. You feel very relaxed. Yes, that's the right word. And that's where you restore yourself, whether it is your mind, whether it's your own self or what. So that is very important. Sleep is very, very important. And then you could exercise is also very important. So these are, you can say, lifestyle measures that you can attend to, you can implement in your day-to-day activities, or not, if not every day, but at least once in a week or maybe once in a month. Makes right sense.
So that's actually a very good example that you have given. But दो सवाल मेरे यहाँ पे. अब as you said, कि recreational activities के लिए we can go for a trek or we can do something.
Right.
But अगर हम यहाँ पर सिर्फ अपनी भी बात करें, so when I do that, there's a guilt कि यार अगेन ठीक है, तुम्हें एंजॉयमेंट दिख रहा है अपने, उससे बेटर है कि घंटे वहाँ पे काम कर लेते हैं. दैट्स वन. एंड देन सेकंड, वो एक चाहत है हर चीज में परफेक्ट होने की. सो लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल आई एंजॉय डांसिंग. तो मैं जब डांस करने जाऊंगी, मैं डांस नहीं कर रही हूँ, डांस करते टाइम पे बैक ऑफ द माइंड मेरे ये चल रहा है कि यहाँ पे सबसे परफेक्ट मैं हूँ. या लेट्स से इफ आई एम कुकिंग, तो मैं अगर खाना बना रही हूँ तो मेरे दिमाग में चल रहा है कि नमक परफेक्ट होना चाहिए.
Right.
फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ स्टूडेंट, लेट्स से गोज फॉर अ वॉक. वॉक करते टाइम पे भी उसको होगा कि यार आधे घंटे में अभी मैंने 4 किलोमीटर कवर करा है, तो अब मुझे 3 किलोमीटर कवर करना है.
Right.
So, constantly the mind is in the state of a race. How do we deal
Yes.
with that?
Okay, that's another very, very good question. See, Abhi, you have to ask yourself that suppose if you like to dance, or if that happens to be your profession, ठीक है, what according to you is success? ठीक है, is it
Good
about
point.
is it tied to an outcome, or is it something more meaningful like an experience, right? So if it is tied to an outcome, there is always going to be something to achieve, or a target, right, or a performance, in that case, which it could be. I'm not saying कि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए, right, because we don't live in an ideological world, but sometimes it could be just a fun activity. Sometimes your profession could be just an experience for your own self, without an expectation that I have to perform in a certain way, right? So you can experience your work in a very fun manner, in a very non-judgmental way, in a very without any expectations. If you could do that, then it is a recreative activity for yourself. But at times your work, because it's your work, for example, if I'm going to hospital, I can't always go there for my own self. It is at times for someone. So I have to deliver, right? So it's in that case, it doesn't become a fun-loving activity. You're getting my point? So, but I'm not saying it cannot be your क्या कहते हैं? It cannot be your recreational activity. Now, see, maybe a correct question here would be to how to build motivation. Right?
Okay.
If you're wanting to know that how to overcome that laziness को कैसे हम overcome कर सकते हैं, या कैसे motivation ला सकते हैं, so that's a very could be another interesting question. So what is motivation? Motivation stems from what does that particular activity mean to you, right? Like in your question before, what does that exam meant for that child, right? So that meaning could be very personal, right? If that exam didn't mean anything, or if that exam was just a task, just a school activity, then obviously there will not be so much of a motivation. ठीक है, उसमें क्या motivation है? But if that child thinks कि यार ये exam pass करके I'll be an astronaut, for example, because he's very fascinated about astronomy, about space and everything, and if that is very personal, it is attached to a fantasy, and clearing that exam is one of a means to achieve that dream, then that could be very motivating to that child, right? Okay. So if we have to create a motivation behind any task, we'll have to explore what does it mean to me, right? What does that what can I achieve in from that? What does it lead to me? And if it is attached to your personal dream or personal goal or a fantasy also at times, it suddenly becomes a very motivational activity, right? Rather than just an activity.
So to summarize this, I think हर इंसान को अपने आप से अभी पूछना एक वो सवाल बहुत ज़रूरी है कि जो मैं कर रहा हूँ वो क्यों कर रहा हूँ.
Exactly.
So if I have a purpose behind it, I think किसी भी external motivation की ज़रूरत नहीं है.
Right.
आप अपने आप में ही self motivated हो.
Yes.
But if you don't have a purpose, I think it's time that we get a purpose.
Yes.
Okay. So moving on to the next segment, what is the reason of burnout? Okay. It can be societal pressure, it can be something else, or it can be something बहुत छोटी छोटी चीज़ें हो सकती है जिस वजह से वो आप मेंटल फिटीग की बात कर रहे थे, मेंटल फिटीग हो रहा है एंड बर्नआउट हो रहा है. सो आज के ज़माने में कंसिडरिंग 21वीं सदी जिसमें अपन आज बैठे हैं 2025 में, ऐसे कंट्रीब्यूटिंग फैक्टर्स छोटे छोटे मेजर क्या हैं जो वी आर इग्नोरिंग एंड इज द मेजर रीजन फॉर बर्नआउट?
एनी एक्टिविटी विच यू परसीव एज पॉइंटलेस. ठीक है, इट्स अ वेरी सब्जेक्टिव थिंग, इट कैनॉट बी स्टैंडर्डाइज और जनरलाइज्ड. हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि मूवी देखना स्ट्रेस है या इट्स अ एंजॉयबल एक्टिविटी. व्हाट डज इट मीन टू दैट पर्सन? How does that individual is perceiving it? And if that individual perceives it as a very pointless activity, very unrewarding activity, and if that person is then subjected to such activities then it's going to cause a burnout very sooner, right? अभी मोस्ट कॉमन कौन सा एक्टिविटीज़ है जस्ट टू हैव एक तो अनसुपरवाइज्ड और rampant use of technology, mobile scrolling है and all that, so yes, if it is goal directed, if it is with a purpose, if it is with some work, then that's a different question. But if it is,
since you have taken up this topic, which is very good. Yesterday only I was reading an article about digital enslavement. और वहाँ पे for the first time I read the word digital burnout.
Right.
So I think आप कुछ इसके बारे में डिस्कस कर रहे थे. What is digital burnout? Constant use of phone.
So digital burnout is specifically burnout because of over digital use, over use of technology. Media हो, internet हो, social medias, everything. If you are excessively indulgent into these things, without resting yourself, without giving your mind that much needed restoring time, then it will lead to a digital burnout basically. And what is digital enslavement? See, interestingly, nowadays we are so much used to technology,
right.
internet and this thing, which are nothing but algorithms. We all must have experienced that as we are discussing. I'm sure that mobile phone is listening to that and it is going to suggest me some, so that is, so it's that there is an algorithm which is responding to us. And eventually it is influencing our lives to a major extent. Suppose if I have to make any decision today from where to go to a shopping, so I'm going to get few inputs from the app, from whatever, Google or anything. So it's in a way influencing my life, influencing controlling my decisions. That is what we call it as a digital enslavement.
How is this causing mental fatigue?
If this particular activity leads to stress, prolonged stress, where your mind is depleted of its resources. ठीक है, अगर थक गया आप, मतलब इतना फ़ोन यूज़ कर लिया फॉर एग्जांपल आपने कि अभी आपको कुछ करने का मूड नहीं है, ठीक है, आपको खाना खाने का भी मूड नहीं है फॉर एग्जांपल, आपको नींद भी नहीं आ रही, राइट, आप एक्सरसाइज भी जो आपको करना था दैट ऑल्सो यू आर नॉट डूइंग, you had to attend a social function, that also you have skipped because you have excessively spent your time in using your phone. Is it not a mental fatigue? Is it not a burnout? It is, right? So that particular activity has led to exhaustion. You have become exhausted of your resources where you are not able to do your responsibilities.
Okay.
जो कि आपकी जो responsibilities थे, काम पे जाना था, घर संभालना था for example, या दोस्तों से मिलना था, whatever your responsibilities were, if you're not you don't have resources or energy to do those responsibilities because of excessive indulgence into say technology or social media. That is what it is.
Help me understand this. मैं काम कर रही हूँ और मैं काम कर करके, जैसे लेट्स से आई एम रीडिंग एन आर्टिकल ऑन इंस्टाग्राम, या आई हैव बीन टेकिंग 6-7 घंटे के लेक्चर्स लेने के बाद ब्रेक लेने के लिए आई एम यूजिंग माई फोन, और वो मान लो मैं 1 घंटे यूज़ कर रही हूँ, तो अकॉर्डिंग टू यू मेरे दिमाग में ऑलरेडी फटीग है पढ़ा के,
right.
And then I am using my phone, which is an additional fatigue that is there. If I am understanding
it
this
it is. It's not a break.
It's not a break.
No, it's not a break. It's a escape. You can say, right?
That's a good word.
Break will come to that point. What actually are break? And kya exactly break is something which should restore your mind. So here, for example, so let's talk about how to deal with this mental fatigue, right? So here there are some tools. We all must have heard of Pomodoro technique, एक Japanese technique, which is nothing. You don't have to look. I mean, the word as such, but it's like taking periodic breaks.
What was the word again?
Pomodoro technique.
Pomodoro.
Right.
Technique. Okay.
Yes. So, for example, if you are studying or if you are doing a session for 25 minutes, for half an hour, after that you take a break of 10 to 15 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. And what is that break again, right? So basically it's doing nothing, right? When you're doing nothing, how to do that? That's a very funny, yes. Which is simply, and the most simplest form is to just try to focus on your breathing, right? For suppose you're like, if I'm sitting on a chair, let me just try to focus or concentrate on my breathing. And let my focus or concentration stay there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. That's it. I don't have to regulate my breathing. No fancy breathing like, nothing of that sort. Just trying to keep my focus on breathing for 2 to 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Now, the moment I'll do that, I'll realize मेरा वो span ही नहीं है, concentration span.
Agreed.
My mind will start wandering somewhere. The moment I realize, I again bring my focus on my breathing. I try to put in 5 minutes in that. I'll notice after 2 to 3 minutes, my mind, my physical body has started to calm down. If I could do that.
I actually have an important question here.
Yes.
So this is with my personal experience only. Now, earlier I had some major anxiety issues and everything, and I used to consult a psychologist. She helped me understanding that Muskan, you need to take break because तुम बहुत अपने आप को ओवर एक्सर्ट कर लिया है, एंड वो सक्सेस बहुत ज़्यादा तेरे दिमाग में, टेक ब्रेक. Okay, I'll take break. Yes. So what do you mean by break? So again the same suggestion.
Yes.
सिर्फ 10 मिनट आइडल बैठ.
Right.
ठीक,
exactly.
10 मिनट तो अपन आइडल बैठते ही हैं. तो मैं मस्त पेड़ के पास गई, गार्डन में बैठी, 10 मिनट आई ट्राइड अलार्म लगा के. 3 मिनट्स मैक्सिमम. 3 मिनट में वो 3 मिनट का पूरा सिनेरियो क्या था. हफ्ते भर में वी इग्नोर अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, क्योंकि काम कर रहे थे, जाने दो, फोकस कुछ और इम्पोर्टेंट काम करना है. पर वो 3 मिनट में वो सब कुछ याद आने लगता है. तो वो 3 मिनट में आई वाज लाइक, अरे यार फिर वही सब वापस, लेट इट बी, भाड़ में जाने तो काम करते हैं.
Right.
तो फिर वो अगेन द हेक्टिक शेड्यूल, बिजी शेड्यूल, एंड देन इट स्टार्ट्स अगेन. सो व्हेन समबडी टॉक्स टू मी कि बैठो एंड ओनली फोकस ऑन योर ब्रीदिंग, विच सम वे आल्सो मींस मेडिटेटिंग,
Right.
इट इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर मी, क्योंकि 5 मिनट बाद वो थॉट प्रोसेस ऐसा आएगा कि आई विल बी लाइक, रहने दो. हाउ डू यू स्टे इन दैट स्टेट?
Yes, exactly. So see, अभी just because you have decided that you'll do it for 10 minutes, ऐसा नहीं ना कि वो 10 मिनट पहले से ही आप कर पाएंगे, फर्स्ट इंस्टेंट में ही आप कर पाएंगे. जैसे if you plan to run for a marathon, not on the day 2 only you will be able to run for half an hour, 1 hour, right? So you'll have to build that attention span. So ठीक है, अगर आपको 3 मिनट तक ऐसा हो रहा है तो आप कोशिश करो ना. The moment you realize that your mind is filled with all these thoughts of the entire week, you bring back again that attention to your breathing. Keep on doing that. Okay. You'll realize maybe not after 3 minutes, but after 4 minutes, you are feeling calm. You try to do it for 10 minutes. You'll see that if you could do this repetitively, your efficiency is getting better. And now you can, start focusing even after 1 minute, even after 2 minutes. Right? So it will come with time. It's an exercise.
Okay.
Right? And you don't have to be very, क्या कहते हैं, एक प्रेशर नहीं लेना कि बोला है तो 10 मिनट करना ही है. राइट. इट्स एन एक्सरसाइज. राइट. यू हैव टू टेक इट एज एन एक्टिविटी. ठीक है. But most importantly, keep on doing it, keep on attempting it. Gradually, it will get better.
The consistency is important.
So now you may not need like 5 minutes to feel relaxed. You can do it in 2 minutes also. Later on, you can do it in 1 minute also, right? And see, the good part is you can do it anywhere, literally anywhere. Yes, right. गाड़ी चलाते वक्त I won't suggest. But
मेरा actually सारा काम गाड़ी चलाते टाइम पे ही होता है. That is the most relaxing period that I have.
Okay, good. You are lucky. You could enjoy driving. But I'll suggest something like taking a cab for that matter. Or if you're having a 5 minutes break in between your meetings, then you can do it, right? So that's the simplest of all. Then there are some... Exactly. And इससे भी कुछ advanced versions हैं, जैसे mindful awareness, right? Just because we are discussing on these things, so it's like becoming aware of your surrounding, right? And there is a technique, what we call it as a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique.
Achha.
For example, just noticing 5 objects around you, like if there is a cup, if there is any mic here, so just trying to notice 5 different objects around yourself, right? Then 4 different sounds. If there is an AC humming, or if there is any traffic outside, or if there is any sound, just trying to focus or register 4 different sounds.
4 चीजें ध्यान से सुनना है.
Right. Then 3 textures. For example, if I've rested my feet on the floor, let me feel the floor. If I've rested my arms, let me feel the arms. Or if I'm sitting on a chair, uska texture kaisa है? Is it very soft? Is it very hard? Right? Then 2, smell. If there is any aroma, or if there is any, any smell, any sort of smell in the room, try to sniff that and try to experience that. And 1 taste sensation. If you have had your breakfast, just try to remember what did you have, how did it feel like.
Okay.
And try to maintain your focus on these sensations.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes. So the principle behind this is, see, stress or anxiety, as we understand, it happens when we are stuck in future or in past. If I'm thinking about my tomorrow or day after tomorrow or my future, or if I'm ruminating about my past, in these situation only I'm going to feel anxious. Right?
Correct.
So if I have to escape from anxiety, which is a main reason for stress, I'll have to start engaging in present, in that moment. Here and now, as we call it. So when I'm engaged, when I'm anchoring my sensations in these, senses, basically, I'm living in present. And so my mind is devoid of any worry or any past thought. So it is not experiencing any anxiety, right? So often I face these questions, even from the students, since you mentioned that example, that how to control your stage anxiety, or how to be relaxed when you're giving your exams, right? Or, performance anxiety, which is a very common condition nowadays. So this is the answer. You try to be in that moment. You try to be in that present. Like even if you're going on stage, just try to engage your senses in whatever that is happening. If you are sitting on if you are standing on a stage, if you are resting on the podium, or if you are listening, giving your viva or listening to the examiner, what the examiner is asking you, right? If you are seated over there. So when you are in that moment, you will not feel anxiety. And so this will come with practice. It may not be very instantaneous, like ऐसा नहीं कि कल मैं अगर जाऊँगा तो कल एकदम से एक ही मिनट में I'll be relaxed. But if you'll develop this habit, or if you'll keep on practicing this, gradually you'll be able to relax yourself faster, right? So it will help you in those situations also where you are feeling very anxious, right? Because anxiety stems from anticipation कि यार अगर मैं स्टेज पे अच्छा परफॉर्म नहीं कर पाया, what will people think about me?
I was exactly coming to that only.
Yes.
लोग क्या सोचेंगे?
लोग क्या सोचेंगे, right? So it is an anticipation. So I'm thinking about future. I'm thinking about tomorrow, right? Even while I'm giving my exams, what if I fumble? Or what if I'm not able to remember what is, what the right answer is? So I'm not in the moment. I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about a possibility, about a negative possibility.
Okay.
And the moment I'll think about something negative, it will trigger a response of stress within me, right?
The mindset, लोग क्या सोचेंगे वाला, ये सबके अंदर है. कोई भी इंसान जो स्टेज पे जा रहा है, उसको स्टेज पे जाने का डर नहीं है. उसको डर इस बात का है कि सामने वाला बंदा क्या सोचेगा, क्राउड बैठा है वो क्या सोचेगा, जो पेपर दे रहा है उसको डर पेपर का दिया, उसको डर इस बात का है कि बाई चांस मैं फेल हो गया तो सोसाइटी वाले क्या सोचेंगे. अगेन तो टू दैट एक्सटेंट, how do you deal with this लोग क्या सोचेंगे वाला mindset?
Before we come to like how we deal with this, let us understand ये आया कैसे, मतलब how did it happen at first place? See, now if you look at the evolutionary history of a mankind, 95% of the time we were primates. ठीक है, हम जानवर थे, हम cavemen थे, we were foragers, we were gatherers, we were living in a cave and all that. When the function was only survival was the only function. So if you see, it's hardly past 1,500 years, 15,000 साल पहले से, that we have developed this ability to think. उसके पहले हमारा एक ही काम था, survival, right? So you can say that our mind, our physical body is programmed for survival. 90% of that programming is only for survival, right? We are not built for attending 1 hour, 2 hour lectures. We are not made for that. We are not made to study for 9 to 5. We are not meant to study for an exam which could be there after 5 years or 1 year. Naturally, we are not inclined towards these things. So these are always going to be an effort. राइट ये हमेशा हमारे लिए टास्क ही होने वाले हैं, राइट? बट इस these past 1500 years that the brain has evolved into an area which is what we call as a prefrontal cortex. I'll not get into the absolute science behind it, but because of that area we can now think. हम लोग प्लान कर सकते हैं 10 साल का भी, हम लोग सोच सकते हैं, हम लोग कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं, हम लोग जज कर सकते हैं what is right, what is not, what is beneficial for me and all that. This is only in the past 1500 years. Now it comes with a drawback also. We can think about what could go wrong after 10 years, right? So we are not only worried about the present, now we are also worried about the next 10 years or even 100 years or even about our kids or even about my job which, something could happen or even about the pandemic which may not even happen, right? So ये चीज़ें भी हमें bother करती है, right? So previously we were worried about कहीं से कुछ शेर आ गया तो, कहीं कुछ एक्सप्लोजन हुआ तो, अंधेरे से हमें डर लगता था, अर्थक्वेक से डर लगता है, अभी भी लगता है लेकिन इतना नहीं लगता. अभी किससे डर लगता है कि व्हाट इफ आई एक बॉस का मैसेज आ गया, मेल आ गया, वी नीड टू टॉक, राइट, और anything,
ये तो बहुत डेंजरस है. We need to
yes, yes. So we are worried about our prestige. लोग क्या सोचेंगे, right? We are worried about our health. We are worried about our kids. We are worried about our possessions, right? These are today's modern days threats, right? जैसे पहले अगर कोई आवाज़ या अंधेरा या कोई शेर, animal, lion, it would trigger a response of fear within us. Nowadays, these are the cues, or these are the information, or these are the things that trigger that stress response within us. So that is why we are so sensitive towards these things. Why we are so sensitive about what people think, because that is what means to me more at this, in these times. So let us understand about what exactly this stress response is, So हम सबने कभी देखा होगा डिस्कवरी पे एक हिरन है, मतलब वो बैठा है आराम से ग्राउंड पे, एकदम सामने झाड़ी में कुछ हलचल होती है. सो कैन यू गेस व्हाट विल हैपन टू द हार्ट बीट ऑफ दैट एनिमल?
अकॉर्डिंग टू मी तो अटैक आ जाएगा.
राइट, तो वो हार्ट बीट बढ़ जाएगी, राइट, ब्रीदिंग फास्ट हो जाएगी, पेट में कुछ हलचल सी महसूस होगी, राइट, हाथ पैर कांपने लग जाएंगे, ठीक है, हो सकता है कि वॉमिटिंग हो जाए, हो सकता है कि जगह पे पेशाब हो जाए या पेट साफ हो जाए, ठीक है. Now, can you guess कि why should these things happen? Can you?
Heartbeat.
हाँ, ये क्यों होता है, मतलब
Stress.
हाँ, लेकिन यही क्यों होता है?
क्योंकि डर लगा.
डर लगने पर यही क्यों होता है? If something is happening in a nature, it has to serve some function. कुछ तो काम होना चाहिए, and it is normal, right? ऐसा नहीं है ना कि उसको कोई it's abnormal. It's not abnormal. So if it is happening normally and naturally, means it has to serve some function, right? अभी सामने कुछ हलचल हुआ, some rumbling happening in the bush, and suddenly these things they start happening. That animal thought कि what if that there is a tiger, सामने शेर है, मतलब उसको ऐसा लगा. Now in order to survive, it needs to either combat with that animal or run away from that place, right? Escape from that place, right? So it's a reflex. So the body starts preparing yourself to survive, in order to survive. Now अभी उसको भागने के लिए हाथ पैरों की ज़रूरत लगने वाली है, right? So the limbs need more oxygen, it needs more blood, so the heart starts pouring in more and more blood to the peripheral organs, so heartbeat बढ़ जाती है. It's going to need more oxygen, so the breathing becomes fast, so the body tries to take in more and more oxygen, right? At the same time, tremors क्यों होते हैं, मतलब shivering क्यों होती है? क्योंकि अब भागना है तो उसको वार्म अप होना है, राइट, ठीक है. पेट में हलचल क्यों हो जाती है, वॉमिटिंग क्यों होती है, ब्लैडर क्यों एम्प्टी होता है, बॉवल्स क्यों एम्प्टी होते हैं? बिकॉज इट नीड्स टू बी लाइटर, राइट, सो दैट द स्पीड व्हाइल रनिंग वुड बी फास्ट. सो दिस इज अ रिफ्लेक्स, और बेसिकली नेचर इज प्रिपेयरिंग दैट एनिमल टू सर्वाइव, राइट. एट द सेम टाइम द माइंड इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी अलर्ट, राइट, डिस्ट्रैक्टेबल. कहीं एक ही जगह से कोई जानवर या कहीं और से भी है, सो इट इज़ वेरी अलर्ट, सुपर सेंसिटिव, राइट. एंड दिस बिफोर दैट एनिमल कुड इवन थिंक और रियलाइज कि व्हाट इज़ हैपनिंग, इट इज़ इवन हाफ वे थ्रू, वहाँ से भाग भी चुका है वो, राइट. सो इट्स अ नेचुरल रिफ्लेक्स विच इज़ डिजाइन्ड सो दैट वी कुड सर्वाइव. नाउ द इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट इज, बाद में उसे लगता है कि वहाँ पे शेर था ही नहीं, वहाँ पे तो बंदर था, right? So let me ask you, to what did that animal react to? To an actual tiger or a thought of tiger? A thought of tiger, to a perception of a tiger, right? And because coming to humans, because we can think better, we also think about possibilities which are not there, or whose likelihood is very rare. ठीक है, मतलब एक anything, like suppose what if I have a heart attack, or what if I lose my job just because my friend has lost a job? What if I also lose my job? Or what if my uncle, he had a heart attack? What if something like that happens to me also? So we are very sensitized, and we are very sensitive for these things, right? And these information triggers the same reaction within us, same reaction of panic within us. So that's why whenever we perceive any stress, we feel this anxious. Now, talking about the burnout, just imagine. Now, okay, that if that animal is able to relax, right? Because that animal cannot think. So that deer, after 2 hours, is going to be relaxed. It's not going to think कि यार एक हफ्ते बाद भी शेर आ गया तो क्या होगा. वो इतनी उसकी कैपेसिटी नहीं है, right? And therefore the mind is relaxed. So the heart will again come back to the baseline function. Everything will continue. Now just imagine if that animal is not able to relax itself. वो अभी भी सोच ही रहा है, मतलब कि यहाँ से तो नहीं आएगा, वहाँ से तो शेर नहीं आएगा. What will happen to the heart? It will continue to function. Right? So what is hypertension? We are so concerned and sensitized about hypertension, heart problems.
Constantly in the state of panic.
Yes. So when you're constantly subjected to a chronic stress, your heart is constantly in a state of hyperfunctioning. And that is what we call it as a hypertension. At the same time, if you measure the glucose levels, क्योंकि हमें भागना है ना वहाँ से, तो ग्लूकोज भी ज़्यादा है बॉडी में. And if that alarm is not switched off, if you are constantly in a chronic stress, your glucose levels are constantly high, and it leads to diabetes, right? So that is how chronic stress also causes hypertension, diabetes, and many other physical conditions also. That is why we call these conditions as a lifestyle related issues, right? Because we are subjected to chronic stress. हमारा mind switch off ही नहीं हो पा रहा, right? We are constantly worried about something or the other. So our heart is constantly functioning at a higher rate. Our blood glucose level is constantly high. Our mind is not feeling relaxed. So you are not able to sleep. And then you enter into a phase where it just exhausts. Body, right. That is what we call it as a burnout. So your mind is not able to switch off. It's not able to focus. क्योंकि कर ही नहीं सकता focus. Stress में आप focus ही नहीं कर सकते. When you are emotional, you lose your ability to focus. You lose your ability to think. There is there is a part in the brain which we call it as an amygdala, which is dealing with emotions. So when that amygdala becomes active, it suppresses the prefrontal cortex. Again, the prefrontal cortex is the area which is dealing with thinking, judgment, right? So जैसे ही हम लोग इमोशनल हो जाते हैं ना, तो हम लोग सोचने की एबिलिटी we lose, right? And that's why in chronic stress, you are not able to make a decision. You are not able to do anything. The productivity goes down, your efficiency goes down. Your body is basically becomes very tired and fatigued. It stops functioning. That is a stage of burnout. If it further continues, eventually your mind becomes very helpless. Your mind becomes very hopeless, right? And that is what we call as a beginning of depression. In depression, you give up on hope. There is nothing good in my life. There is nothing good can happen in my life, So it's nothing but chronic stress. So there are many ways in which you can deal with stress. So just going back to our discussion. So one is these techniques, where you take small chunk of, relaxation breaks. Then also very important is monotasking. Monotasking means doing one job at a time. See, we are not naturally designed for multitasking. Multitasking requires a lot of decision making, and decision making is the highest effort for brain. जब हमें decision बनाना होता है ना किसी भी चीज़ का, it's a huge stress to mind. So when we are doing one task, we don't have to make a lot of decisions. So our efficiency is better, our focus is better, and once we finish that, then we can move on to the next task. So monotasking is one. Then there is a more, something known as a cognitive reappraisal. Now it's like a therapy. Now that is not something like general masses could follow, but here you would need a therapist, you would need an expert, you would need a psychiatrist who can help you with how to cognitively, how to work, how to develop flexible cognitive thinking, right? Or how to correct those cognitive errors. A technical term for that is a cognitive reappraisal. So these are ways in which you can learn to manage stress, learn to relax yourself, right? There are many more, but basic is like periodic breaks. simple relaxation techniques between, after 40 minutes, after 30 minutes, taking a break for 5 minutes, right? The least that you can do, basically, right? And sleep.
So,
sleep is very important.
Just to simplify this for audience, if we say कि 5 चीजें, बस 5 चीजें तुम ऐसी कर लो, because as you said कि we were not born to be like this, so it's a constant effort that we have to make. And somewhere, again, it's my personal belief, but I think somewhere it's correct also. हम सबको पता है कि 5 मिनट बैठ के मेडिटेशन करना है, बट जैसे कि आप स्टार्टिंग ऑफ द कॉन्वर्सेशन में समझा रहे थे कि देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन लेजीनेस एंड बर्नआउट, राइट? तो इंसान आलस तब दिखाता है जब उसके पास पर्पस नहीं है. समवेयर आई बिलीव वी डोंट प्रायोरिटाइज दिस मेडिटेशन वाला पार्ट. सो क्योंकि वो अपनी प्रायोरिटी नहीं है, हमारे अंदर खुद से मोटिवेशन आता नहीं है, एंड वी डोंट डू दिस. राइट. सो वी नो वी हैव टू डू दिस, बट वी आर नॉट डूइंग इट बिकॉज अगेन वी आर लेजी इनफ थोड़ा सा टू डू दैट. राइट. तो हेल्प मी अंडरस्टैंड कि बस आप ये 5 चीजें कर लो लाइफस्टाइल के पार्ट पर, विच इज वेरी सिंपल. यू डोंट नीड अ थेरेपी, यू डोंट नीड अ थेरेपिस्ट. बहुत बार एक्चुअली जरूरत भी नहीं होती है. बस आप ये 5 चीजें करो एंड यू विल डेफिनेटली सी एन इम्प्रूवमेंट, provided you are consistent enough, if I'm not wrong. Right.
Definitely, good question. So first thing is सबसे ज़रूरी 8 घंटे की नींद at night. Very important. It's like more than food, if there is something important, is your sleep, right? After that, some physical exercise. But
जैसे मान लीजिए काम बहुत ज़्यादा है.
नहीं ना, लाइफ से भी ज़्यादा काम, लाइफ से भी ज़्यादा. दैट इज़ व्हाट आई एम सेइंग कि नींद से ज़रूरी कुछ नहीं हो सकता. ज़िंदगी से ज़्यादा तो नहीं काम ज़रूरी हो सकता है ना, मतलब, राइट? एंड सी, काम भी अगर करना है तो उसके लिए रेस्ट तो देनी पड़ेगी ना. वी अज्यूम कि अगर मैं रेस्ट ना दे के काम करूँ तो वो अच्छा काम होगा. ऐसा नहीं है, राइट?
बट व्हाट डू यू बिलीव, नाइट आउल्स आर बेटर और जो सुबह उठ जाते हैं वो बेहतर है? ऐसा कुछ है पर्सपेक्टिव?
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. सी, वी आर नेचुरली मेड टू स्लीप एट नाइट, राइट? देर आर नॉक्टर्नल एनिमल्स, बट हम लोग वो नहीं है, मतलब, ठीक है, हम लोग उल्लू नहीं है बेसिकली. सो हमें 8 घंटे की इकट्ठा नींद रात में बहुत ज़रूरी है. देर इज़ नो आर्ग्यूमेंट ऑन दैट, यू कैन से, राइट? सो नहीं है, मतलब उससे ज़रूरी कुछ भी नहीं है.
ये बहुत बेसिक बात है जो सबको पता है, बट समवेयर वो एक मोबाइल वाला फैक्टर आ जाता है कि सोने के पहले फ़ोन चलाना है, सुबह उठते ही साथ फ़ोन चलाना है, नाश्ता कर रहे तो फ़ोन चलाना है, लंच कर रहे तो फ़ोन चलाना है, बीच में 5 मिनट का ब्रेक लेके फ़ोन चलाना है. हाउ डू वी अवॉइड दिस?
वी हैव टू अवॉइड इट.
मैंडेटरी ही ये करना है.
यस.
सो दिस इज समथिंग दैट यू हैव टू डू कॉन्शियसली नाउ.
एग्जैक्टली. So it is an effort because we have got, हमें आदत हो चुकी है उन चीज़ों की, राइट? बट वो आदत कैसे हुई, मतलब, ठीक है? सो हमने की ना, मतलब वी ओनली डिरेल आवर स्लीप हाइजीन एंड एवरीथिंग. जस्ट एक स्लीप हाइजीन का एक मुद्दा, सिंस व्हाट आई अंडरस्टैंड कि इज हाउ टू करेक्ट दैट स्लीप इज व्हाट यू आर ट्राइंग टू आस्क. Basic thing, firstly switch away all your mobile phones, everything, because anything which is interesting, anything which is bright, anything which is loud will prevent you from falling asleep. जैसे if I have to talk with my friend on a phone, मैं 3 बजे तक भी बात कर सकता हूँ, but you have to attend a lecture, which is a very boring thing. So the natural defense of your mind is to sleep. इसलिए अगर मुझे दिन में भी अगर कोई लेक्चर में बैठा है तो I'll start sleeping, right? So subject yourself to something which is very subtle, something which is not so interesting, right? So the only activity is reading a book, not on tab, not on phone,
Kindle पे अगर कोई पढ़ रहा है,
बिल्कुल नहीं, book पे, because that's a bright source of light. तो वो naturally आपकी नींद भगा देगा, right? So reading book is the only activity that you should do half an hour before your sleep time, right? फिर आपको नींद नहीं भी आ रही ना, आप पढ़ते रहिए, मतलब आपको आ जाएगी, right? No mobile phone, no bright light, no sound, nothing, right? So that is one thing. Yes, and you have to consistently hit that routine or that ritual. 10 बज गए, बुक लेके मैं अपने बेड पे जाऊंगा, जब नींद आई तब मैं सो जाऊंगा. You have to do exactly opposite of that when you wake up. 6 बजे उठना है तो उठने के बाद then you can check your phone, then you can switch on the lights, you can put some loud music. Best is to go out. There's nothing natural than a sunlight. ठीक है, अगर that is the best thing. So if you could do this consistently ना, your sleep will get regularized, right?
ठीक है. Okay. Yeah, so sleep is one.
Sleep is something very important. Some physical activity, right?
That's second.
Yes, because there is no distinction between mind, brain and physical. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, right? ऐसा नहीं कि mind and body is one and the same, right? When we feel emotional, हमें इमोशंस कहाँ महसूस होता है? हार्ट में महसूस होता है, बॉडी में महसूस होता है, हाथ पैर कांपने लगते हैं. दो it's an emotion. So there is no distinction between mind and physical self. It's one and the same. So physical exercise is also equally important. Half an hour of some moderate intensity exercise, which is very important. So these two things. Apart from that, these periodic relaxation techniques, we can call it as a meditation also. But meditation, what I understand, is a little scientific term for that.
Okay.
You know, uske bhi, but simple trying to focus on your breathing. Whatever you call it. Let's call it as a relaxation exercise. Right? For 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Maybe 3 times in a day. That you can do. Then avoiding multitasking. Right? I think more than 5, only if you could do these 4 things, which are very simple. There are many things. There are even, more elaborate relaxation techniques also, where you lie down, you do it for half an hour on that. But then, since we are talking about practical and basic things, these are the things that we can do. Yes.
आराम से करा जा सकता है.
Exactly. There's I don't see, nobody can give an excuse on these things, right?
But I think आजकल वो mindset ही हो गया है कि जो चीजें simple है वो ज़्यादा difficult हो गया है.
But people are following that, I'm getting, and there are patients who say that, who have found results. And even if you see, I don't know, I mean, if you happen to read about any these leaders and all that, बाद में ही सही, but they have realized these things and they have adopted. There are people who have, left their very lavish lifestyle and have gone to a very natural place, and you may have a lot of celebrities also and all that adopting to that kind of a lifestyle. So there is a change that is happening. People are moving towards it. So वो हो गए because we have incredible ability to adapt. ठीक है. So ये in order to survive, it's not going to be an option anymore. ठीक है, हमें ये करना ही पड़ेगा.
आगे जाके mandatory हो जाएगा.
Exactly.
तो it's better अपन आज से start कर दें.
Yes.
सर आई थिंक ये तो एक ऐसा मुद्दा है जिस पे अपन चर्चा करते ही रह सकते हैं. टू जस्ट रैप अप द कॉन्वर्जेशन, सिंस इट हैज़ बीन अ वेरी ऐसे इंडल्जिंग कॉन्वर्जेशन, बट वन क्वेश्चन दैट आई हैड थ्रू आउट द कॉन्वर्जेशन, बट वो बीच में मुझे कहीं पूछने का मौका नहीं मिला. 2 थिंग्स एक्चुअली. सो पहली बात, आई एम वेरी श्योर कि हर बंदा इस कॉन्वर्जेशन के एंड तक आया ही है. वो आधे घंटे करके सुनेगा, बट वो इस कॉन्वर्जेशन के एंड तक आया है और ये सवाल उसके दिमाग में है. सो वन, वी आर ओवर प्रेशरिंग आवरसेल्व्स, ओवर एक्सपेक्टेशंस जो हमने अपने आप से रखे हुए हैं.
राइट.
कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल आज मैंने 10 घंटा काम करा, सो रादर देन अप्रिशिएटिंग आई वुड से यार 10 किया तो 11 भी कर सकती थी. कल 11 घंटा काम किया तो 11 करने के बाद रादर देन अप्रिशिएटिंग अगेन 11 किया तो 12 भी कर सकती थी. दैट्स वन. हाउ अगेन इस पे कंट्रोल करना आई बिलीव बहुत ज़रूरी है. बिकॉज जब मैं इस बारे में बात कर रही हूँ उनमें से एक प्राणी मैं ही हूँ. दैट्स वन. देन सेकेंड, दैट वुड बी द लास्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ द डे. Please help me understand, as we said in the beginning, there's a very thin line of difference between laziness and burnout. तो अपन ने लोगों को ये समझा दिया है कि यार सी burnout is an actual issue, you have to deal with it, you need to take break. Right. But there is also one more problem. So अब हो भी सकता है कि कोई इंसान ये मान के चल रहा हो कि मैं बहुत फ्रस्ट्रेटेड हूँ तो मुझे ब्रेक लेना है. तो हम लोग ये कैसे समझे और कब समझे कि यार अभी मुझे अपने आप को एक चाटा मारना है और एक ब्रेक लेना है कि यार तेरा हो गया, बहुत दिन से काम करी, स्टॉप, रेस्ट, टेक अ ब्रेक. एंड कब मुझे अपने आप को चाटा मार के बोलना है कि बहाने मत दो, स्टार्ट वर्किंग फॉर दिस. तो हाउ डू वी अंडरस्टैंड दिस? जस्ट लास्ट दीज 2 क्वेश्चंस.
राइट. सी देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन अबाउट टेकिंग ब्रेक और व्हाट. ब्रेक लेना ही है. ठीक है, आप कुछ भी करो, मतलब यू हैव टू टेक ब्रेक्स. सो एज फार एज योर क्वेश्चन गोज कि ये करना है नहीं करना है, ये तो करना ही है. सोना हमें है ही, मतलब 8 घंटे. ब्रेक लेना ही है, एक्सरसाइज करनी ही है. राइट, दैट इज देयर. देन देर इज अनदर क्वेश्चन, हाउ टू बी मोर प्रोडक्टिव. राइट, हाउ टू इंक्रीज योर एफिशिएंसी, हाउ टू फोकस ऑन योर टास्क, हाउ टू अकम्प्लिश वॉट यू आर यू हैव टेकन अप. सो उसके लिए we'll have to, like I said, we'll have to build that motivation. Right? Then we have to ask ourselves the questions कि what does it mean to me? इसके मायने क्या है मुझे मेरे लिए? Then there is a role of avoiding all the distractions, creating that environment where there are no distractions there. So it's a different topic, how to be more productive, how to be more functioning, right? So as I hope that answers your question. One is that you have to adopt a very healthy, very lifestyle. That's I mean, that's not an option. And then you also have to be, in order to achieve, जैसे आपको अगर the question is कि आपको 12 घंटे काम करना क्यों पड़ रहा है, जब आपको 10 घंटे काम करना है, so which means that there is some issue with efficiency. So how you can increase that efficiency is by being more productive. So we can talk about that maybe in a different episode probably, you know, but that is that, right? Ki you'll have to be more disciplined, you'll have to be more conscious, you'll have to be more judicious with the use of all these medias and everything, right? And some specific techniques through which you can build that efficiency, you can be more productive, so that you don't have to stretch yourself where you could do it in not even 10 but 8 hours, right?
Makes sense. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for such an
Most
insightful
welcome,
session.
Thank you. The topic is so interesting actually. You know,
We can go on and on
yes,
and on.
yes.
But I'm very sure that people would be engaging with you a lot in the comment section. But I'm very sure about that.
Thank you.
क्योंकि ये मुद्दा ऐसा है ना कि इसका कोई अंत नहीं है.
Right.
And when you talk about burnout, then there is procrastination. You talk about procrastination, then there is anxiety. You talk about anxiety, then there is depression and a number of things.
Yes.
But I'm glad and I'm really grateful to you कि at least वो एक topic को अपन लोग तोड़ के solution oriented समझ पाए कि what is supposed to be there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this video till the end. अगर आपको ये conversation genuinely help करी है तो प्लीज़ इस चैनल को लाइक कर देना, शेयर कर देना, सब्सक्राइब कर लेना और इस वीडियो को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक पहुंचाना, बिकॉज इस पूरी कॉन्वर्जेशन को सुनने के बाद आपको रियलाइज हुआ होगा दैट दिस प्रॉब्लम इज़ रियल. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, अगर आपको लगता है कि ऐसे ही कुछ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इश्यूज़ हैं जिन पे चर्चा होनी चाहिए, जिन पे रियल कॉन्वर्जेशंस आप सुनना चाहते हो, तो यू कैन लेट अस नो इन दी कॉमेंट बॉक्स, बिकॉज एट वकालत एवरी कॉन्वर्जेशन मैटर्स.